All right. Now, up next was probably... Oh, actually, you know what? Up next... Wow, we had a lot of backstage segments tonight. Tyson Kidd and Natalya getting into a little bit of an argument over Tyson's recent actions. And he tells Natalya basically that he just doesn't want her to come to the ring tonight. And we'll find out later that didn't really work out too well, did it?
No, it did not, and I'm kind of debating whether you and I are horrible people or whether just Natalya really is just that irritating. Because
no, she is the worst.
You and I have just been reveling in this Tyson Kidd douchebaggery. I think it is awesome.
To refer to Natalya as worse than Hitler is an insult to Hitler.
Oh my God, don't say that, oh God. Well, I guess what I'll say in response to that I wish Tyson had found this voice when he was getting pushed, like when he got his Money in the Bank spot and he really seemed like he was becoming relevant on his own. I think they tried to at first when he broke up the Hart Dynasty, because he turned on David Hart Smith. And I actually liked what they were doing with Kidd, because they were going through all these managers each week, one of whom was, I think, Michael Hayes. And, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, it's going to be the rise of Kidd. No, I think this is what he needed, because rather than trying to be yet another cocky Shawn Michaels, the guy that can really back it up and has the manager in his ear and this and that, he just should have been kind of like the disgruntled guy. Like, I know I'm good. I'm not getting where I know I should be. I'm going to start stepping on throats, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And if my wife has a problem with it, well, then she could just stay in the back, because I don't care. It works. And you know what the funny thing is? Because we find Natalya so irritating, and because we know that Kidd is that good, it actually makes him more sympathetic, at least to me, than anything else. That's what blows my mind.
Oh, and by the way, just in case there are any butthurt neckbeards out there, don't get your fedora in a knot. The whole literally worse than Hitler thing is a joke.
Yeah, it's a popular. I think it is a popular meme. I've seen it before. I've seen it many times. So.
Oh no, I understand that, and you understand that, but you just know there's some keyboard warrior sitting there listening to this, getting all butthurt and angry about it, and getting ready to either type up an angry comment or record an angry video calling us out about how we're anti-Semitic or something.
Well, and yeah, that's exactly why I had the reaction I did, because productivity isn't a thing. Clearly not. So yeah, glad we clarified that. But Tyson Kidd, dude. You and I love him. It's great TV. I hope there are a lot more Tyson Kidd fans out there. If you are, you know what to do while you're listening to this. Let us know how you feel. Do you have anything else you want to say about this, Ashton?
Nope. Up next, we had a brief backstage segment. Summer Rae in the mirror talking to Sasha Banks. Summer obviously won her match earlier and is therefore the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And she just kind of brags a little bit and tells Sasha that they should stay friends because when Summer becomes the NXT Women's Champion, Banks is going to wish she had.
Let me ask you something, Ashton.
Yes?
Because you're the big Sasha Banks fan. I mean, we both really love her, but you, again, much like with Justin Gabriel, have been a strong advocate for her. You see that she's being treated like pretty much dinner scraps here at this point. Yeah. While Charlotte and Summer Rae would best be described as either like entrees.
That's slow burn, though.
Slow burn. And see, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think Sasha is going to turn face? Do you think she's going to help one of these ladies when title match time comes? What do you think is the future of Sasha Banks? I'm going to leave that to you.
I don't know what the future for Sasha Banks is on NXT, but I know that as soon as she gets called up to the main roster, Cameron might as well kiss her job goodbye because they practically have the same gimmick and Sasha does it 1 billion times better.
Wouldn't that be such a wonderful world? I'm so tempted when I hear that Cameron gets her pink slip to make a mark out video. Just being like, yes! Yes! Because you're absolutely right. Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, dude. Generally, I find it offensive when people wish unemployment upon other people. But when you consider all the crap she's done and realize how impossible it would be to keep literally any other job having done the crap that she's done and she still gets away with it, I think it's acceptable in this case.
That's why I was so angry. Now, granted, she was reinstated, so my sour grapes, I mean, I've got to put them to the side because they have no legitimacy anymore. But when they so quickly released Emma, when I distinctly remember Cameron getting a DUI and still having a job. Like,
well,
see, that's
plus she's also publicly denied being employed by the WWE.
And that's what blows my mind. And again, really, Ashton, for me, and I'm speaking solely for myself, I do agree that Cameron's remarks to Austin on Tough Enough were bad, but really, to me, that's just comical value anymore. But the two things you and I just listed, absolutely disgraceful. And don't get me wrong, I am right there with you. When people wish ill will or an economic downturn, in the form of unemployment on certain people, I'm just thinking, I understand hatred, but whatever. But this woman is literally bad for business. Not to come off as like an authority figure, but seriously, she doesn't represent the company well, and I cringe at the thought of her match with Naomi at Battleground, and it just makes me want Sasha Banks, again, bringing the conversation back, on the main roster so bad. Because to me, Cameron's out of a job, and she'll be that great fiery female heel that I think we need. The Paige might become, but Sasha Banks can also kind of be like the backup, the understudy, if you will, of that same gimmick, and be just as brilliant. So.
Well, and on that same note, dude, to me, what sets Sasha Banks apart is that if you want somebody to garner sympathy, put her against Sasha Banks. Because I sympathize with anybody who gets in there and has to deal with the slaps and the scratches and the stomps and all of the brutality that she brings. And again, I mean, we've said this before, but because it's going to get kind of lost in the annals of internet history, since now Twitwow is no longer on iTunes and all those episodes are kind of lost, it's worth repeating. If you've never been suplexed, it's tough to relate to how painful that can be. If you've never been punched in the face, again, it's tough to relate to how painful that can be. But if you have ever had any females in your life at any point ever, you know what it feels like to be scratched. You know what it feels like to be slapped. And Sasha uses all of that in her repertoire, and you know how freaking painful it can be. And then you see her doing it to these women, but at about 10 times the velocity than what you probably experienced. And it's like, holy crap, that has to hurt a lot. And it makes her offense believable.
Completely agree. She is such a throwback to me with that offense, the scratching and the kicking and this, that, and the other. It is ridiculous, and I love her for it. To me, where I hope this whole thing goes in the context of NXT, I think she'll aid one of them for a time, if I had to guess.
I don't know, dude. I feel like she's going to break away from both of them, and I don't know if that necessarily means she's going to turn face, but regardless, I think she needs to keep the boss gimmick. So if she does turn face, it'll only be in principle, because it'll only be that she's the same person. It's just that she's going against bad guys now. But at the end of the day, to me, the most important thing isn't whether she's heel or face, it's that she keeps that gimmick.
I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, I've been saying that I feel like she can be a future NXT Women's Champion. If this is the blueprint for it, having her forge her own identity, please do it, because she is going to be unleashed. I am tired of her being the lapdog. This is her time to shine. So I'm really excited that this seems to be Sasha Banks' story, and people may not be realizing it yet.
Right.
So.
I mean, I was even saying the other day with the whole boss gimmick, apparently now Bobby Lashley in TNA is going by the boss.
Yeah, and he has for a while, to be honest, because I was still periodically checking in with TNA around the time when he first debuted, and yeah, they were calling him the boss even then. I don't know, maybe it was trying to say that he dominates both MMA and now pro wrestling in the form of TNA, and that makes him a boss. I don't know why they came up with that name. But, yeah, Bobby Lashley wishes he was as great as Sasha Banks.
Wait, how long has he been going by that?
For a few years now, dude. I think, well, again, purely by TNA appearances. Whenever he first appeared with TNA, they started
2009?
You know what? I was thinking 2009, so I'm going to say yes to that.
Wow. Huh. That's interesting. Well, there are going to be a bunch of people that call Sasha Banks out for copying him.
Again, he wishes he was that good. Copying would
Well, and to me, the really funny thing is, at the end of the day, they both are kind of taking that nickname from hip-hop culture, because Rick Ross, for as long as I can remember, for at least a decade, has been known as the boss. He's called himself that. So, I mean, it's tough to say that anyone stole anything from anyone, because even in the WWE, even the wrestling business as a whole is just a copycat business.
Thank you for saying that, because I was really just about to say, if you didn't make any remarks about that, especially in this industry of ours, there's nothing new under the sun. So I don't want to hear any originality complaints, because it's very hard to pull off anyway. And yeah, Sasha Banks is doing the best with it, and hopefully the best comes in the form of championship gold.
Absolutely. All right, dude. So up next, we had another talking segment. It's so weird. I'm not used to having this many talking segments on NXT. CJ Parker calls out Xavier Woods to talk about what happened last week. He apologizes to Woods, and dude, the freaking promo that Xavier Woods cut here blew my mind and made me want nothing more than to see him get about 1 billion years worth of comeuppance on the main roster.
You and me both. Ashton, I think you and I can agree that for the longest time, whether it be on Twitter or in conversation with you privately, the one thing I have consistently asked for, I want Xavier Woods to stop kidding around and get serious. I saw a serious edge to him, and the reason I saw that, and I tell people this all the time, again, I can't believe we're talking about TNA so much in this episode of Twitter, but when he debuted on TNA, I thought his vignettes were phenomenal, because he's talking about how this is my opportunity, this is my time to shine, and he would end each one looking into the camera asking the question, are you prepared to face the consequences? And I was like, oh God, yes, love it, freaking love it. And then he debuts, and I'm like that kid in the Chris Jericho 2/20/212 promos, second day of 2012, face palming my ass off when I find out that my personal notebook of my hopes and dreams has been tampered with. Because he comes out singing and dancing and like, yeah, baby, come on, it's gonna be a fun time. I'm like, what happened? What about facing the consequences? And it was such a shame, because I thought he was such a great athlete. And then he comes to WWE, and I'm excited because I'm like, well, maybe WWE's gonna do it right. No, they pair him with the Funkadactyls, do this with R-Truth. Fine, because he's fun, he's entertaining. You love him for his 90s gimmick. I love it too. But I still wanted to see what he could do to it, much like I have this weird, sick fascination with a Jack Swagger face turn, which clearly illustrates that I need help.
Well, and now they're doing it.
But now they're doing it, so call me freaking Frankenstein, so we get this tonight.
John, you're freaking Frankenstein.
Thank you. Oh, it feels so good to be validated. So then tonight, he gets on the microphone and he says, so let me get this straight. And I love this. He says, let me get this straight. You were excited that you returned to NXT because Parker admitted he hadn't formally been on the product for a while, outside of his protest. And so, you got a little hot under your collar, excited. So you act like a 12-year-old spouting your mouth off, and my name comes out of your mouth? And honestly, Ash, you're going to have to help me here with the rest, because he pretty much said, and you think I'm just going to forgive that and whatsoever, but you've got another thing coming, is the gist really of what he said. But I think you can be more specific than I am here.
He said something about how he's going to tear the bird's nest off the back of your head, and it's just like it wasn't necessarily the content, it was the passion and the fire behind what he said.
That is just it, though. It's like he had, because normally with a line like that, you'd think, oh, hardy har har har, that's hilarious. But he said it with this intensity and this really fiery sincerity that you're like, oh man, like it's going down. And I was waiting for this ever since he gave, like I think like I want to say 3 weeks back at this point, maybe more than that, a Raw Fallout interview where he just looked so frustrated and so over it after losing to Bo Dallas. And he even said, I don't care about Bo Dallas. I care about that I can't win a match to save my life. Clearly none of you do, so we're done here. And I'm like, yes, get angry, get serious. And now we're seeing more of that here in NXT. He doesn't have to go heel. I don't think he does. I would like it. I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think he has to. I want more of this. This is what I want. This was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
But he didn't follow through on it physically, did he, Ashton?
Well, no, because CJ Parker said that he wants to make peace. He reached out his hand for a handshake and raised his other hand up in a peace sign. And Xavier Woods did the peace sign, but in CJ Parker's face. And then he turned around and went to walk out and ate an axe kick to the back of the head, got laid out, and that was pretty much how this segment ended until the referee showed up and tried to prevent CJ from inflicting any more harm.
I love the motivation for this, because remember, this all comes back to CJ Parker calling out Xavier Woods for having the one thing that Parker wants most, a main roster spot. And whether that's simply because he's a competitor, and then that's an innate desire in every competitor, or maybe if we're looking at it from a character perspective, he realizes that Raw and SmackDown is the biggest possible multimedia platform because they incorporate everything, Twitter, television, everything else, to spread his message of eco-activism.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, it's his motivation. It's a basic motivation. And I'm surprised it wasn't used more on NXT. I'm surprised this is really the first serious time they're using it. And even though it is CJ Parker, who I'm still coming over to, clearly he is turning a corner with me. And Xavier Woods, who I am loving now, if this is what we're getting, I think it's interesting that we're entrusting using this motivation with these two guys, but I think they're making it work.